What up, y'all? There's a lot of buzz going on right now around legalities and decriminalization and will I get into trouble for psychedelics and state altering plants. And I want to talk to y'all about what's going on at Ka and Pathogenics. They have a new category of natural and pathogenic supplements that are designed to help people feel more alive as they navigate everyday anxiety and stress. All of their proprietary offerings feature Kana, which is a powerful South African botanical being a plant, that's clinically proven to lift mood and sharpen cognitive function. And I know I love to have my cognitive function lifted because I'm always talking about stuff and getting deep. And Kana, this supplement, I've gone through trials with this supplement. I used their first batch and it was awesome. But the new formulation has been absolutely wonderful for me. And Cole and I microdosed this for 30 days straight. And I mean, the shift, and you know, I'm skeptical about everything. The lift in my mood after 30 days was after 15 days was absolutely amazing. My ability to show up cognitively clear was tremendous. And my mood, just the way I felt, the way I feel when I take this supplement is amazing. And Kana is known to many as the happiest plant on earth. It's been an essential ingredient, a medicinal and social and spiritual cultural space in South Africa for millennia. Its discovery was revolutionary and it was unearthed by the early inhabitants known to mankind. Okay, so the South African hunter-gatherers chewed on Kana's roots to enhance their mood, focus, and energy while on multi-day hunts. So this is a plant that is absolutely amazing. It's gentle. It's empathogenic. It's actually like a natural SSRI. And so if you're taking SSRIs or SNRIs or MAOIs, this is not the plant for you. But I'm telling you, this is amazing. And we're actually we're going to be doing some test groups with this and running a microdosing group with this, and it's completely legal. And our coaches are actually leaning into it as well. So I highly recommend you slide over to Ka and Pathogenics and check out what they're doing with their Kana supplements. It's absolutely stupendous, miraculous, fantastic, and all the good stuff. So we have the link in our show notes and you'll get 10% off if you use the link in our show notes. I love you and I can't wait to see you on the podcast.
Whether you're a life coach, therapist, biohacker, invested in wellness, or in the healthcare profession, if you have an intention to work in psychedelic spaces, you're in the right place then. If you're called, get involved. But first, get informed. Let's talk the 4 N's: intake, intention, in-space integration. Leading to deeper transformations. Psychedelic Coach Podcast, Todd Cole. Walk you through the process, it's all possible. Leave space for the follow through. Most importantly, integration is not optional.
Welcome back. We're talking about constructs and the nervous system. And this is a really important topic that I really love talking about. And it's important because this is one of the things we talk about at the Condor Approach all the time, constructs. I've done a couple of videos on constructs, and I want to really be able to deliver this for you so that you start to get an understanding of the flow of the things that we teach at the Condor Approach. And you can just take this stuff and apply it to your life now. If you want to come to the Condor Approach, we'd be happy to have you at the Condor Approach so you can learn about these things and how to apply them to your life and how to apply them to your coaching practice, whether you're integration coach for psychedelics, whether you're a chiropractor who's supporting people with integration, whether you are a Reiki master, whether you're a doctor, nurse, lawyer, engineer, whatever it is. I want you to have this stuff so that you can take this and move it forward in your life. It's a really important thing. Me being a nurse for 31 years, I never had anyone teach me about constructs and how constructs actually affect the body and the nervous system. And it's something that I know in my heart and my soul and in the practices that I do, that this is extremely important information. And so I am going to bring that to you now. And so before I get started about the nervous system and constructs, I want to talk a little bit about what constructs are. Whenever I do these talks, I go back to the beginning and I talk about the very basics because I want the people who are new to this to know, and I want the people who know this a little bit to get a refresher, and I want the people who are really adept at it to get solidified in this and then to be able to apply different things. So I always go back to the basics and I talk about the foundation of the topic so that everybody can get the gist. And the people who have heard this, the more you hear it, the more repetition you fall into it, the more you'll be able to explain it to other people so that I'm not the only person teaching this stuff. I don't want to be the only person teaching about these things, y'all. This is part of why I'm here. This is part of why Cole has been pushing me more, is because we are very few people in number talking about this stuff. So I want the numbers to grow. So this is what we're going to talk about, constructs. So constructs are structures. They're frameworks. Okay. Constructs are frameworks for convenience. They are frameworks for the convenience of life. That's what a construct is. Everything is a construct in our world. Everything that we have that is a convenience space is a construct. A boat is a construct. A car is a construct. An MP3 player, yes, I still have one of these, is a construct. A book, right? This is a construct. It's a construct that makes it convenient for me to keep notes and keep track of my stuff, right? And it's bound, it's a construct. This room that I'm in, this building that I'm in is a construct. It provides the convenience of keeping the hot weather out in the summertime, the cold weather out in the winter, animals and insects outside. It's a place to house my stuff. It's a convenient space. So constructs are frameworks and structures to provide convenience. That's what constructs are. Now, this body that you're looking at is a construct. It's made up of multiple systems, and the convenience of this construct is that I get to move around, I get to walk around, I get to communicate my human experience, right? The experience of this humanness, it is a convenient space for me to move around in so that, and to do things so that I can build and I can manipulate things. I have the convenience of having the construct of a hand that I can manipulate and touch things with. This body is a construct. It's a physical construct. Okay. Everything around us is constructs. Now we have physical constructs and we have ideological constructs. Ideological constructs are constructs that we create in the mind space. And the mind space, ideas, we take ideas and we formulate them. We take information and we formulate them into ideas. Ideas are ideological constructs. I have an idea. Let's make a wheel, right? Let's make a wheel because we want to move things differently than we were moving them before. And so I create things. And so I use my ideological constructs for convenience spaces. Ideological constructs come in many forms, and the form that we talk about most at Condor Approach is the societal construct, the constructs of society, right? The structures and the frameworks of society. And so our ideological constructs are very fascinating, very interesting frameworks that we use in our world. Now, the foundational societal construct is the identity. And that starts off with, I believe I am who I am. You can call me Ta. That is the sound I respond to, but it is not who I am. The identity that I am is what I would call me, right? Me. You can refer to it as Ta, but it's me. And there are multiple identities that I have. I believe that I'm Ta the brother, I'm Ta the father, I'm Ta the grandfather, I am a husband, I am a friend, I am creator of the Condor Approach, I am a nurse, I am an MC, I am a writer, I'm an author. I do all of these things. I have so many identities. There are many identifying factors. And so you can take all of those identities and you can say, oh, it's the nurse, brother, cousin, father, grandfather thing over there. Or you could just be like, it's Ta, right? And so we ball all that stuff up into one convenient construct that you call Ta. You identify me as Ta, and I am all these complex things. And so since I'm all these complex things, to make it convenient, just point and say, oh yeah, that's Ta. He does this. He's able to do this and this and this and this and this and this and this. But you can identify me by all of the things I do in this one construct of identity that you have for me. It's a convenient space. Now, identity constructs are very, very complex because there are so many of them. Like I said, Ta the father, the grandfather, the son, the brother, the cousin, the friend, the homie, the MC, the entrepreneur, all of these different things that I am, the nurse, the DJ. I have all of these different identities, and you can ball it into one convenient space that you call Ta, right? You identify me as Ta. Maybe you don't. Maybe you identify me as asshole or something like that. That's also a convenient space, right? So the identity construct goes into, I believe I am who I am. I believe that you believe I am who I am. I believe that y'all over there believe I am who I am. I believe that all of y'all believe I am who I am. I believe that we believe I am who I am, right? I believe that me and Cole believe I am who I am. There's all these different parts of the identity construct, but you can conveniently ball it up into that's Ta over there. This is a convenient structure. Remember, societal constructs are for convenience. So when you look at a race, right, you can be like, oh, those black people over there, those white people over there, those Asian folks over there. It's a convenient space of identifying people based on characteristics, right? We have race, religion, we have gender, we have ethnicity, we have nationality, we have all these different markers that we identify people with for convenience purposes, to put people in boxes and to kind of sort them out. This is a very convenient space. And so it's not right or wrong. It's not good or bad. It is a convenient space. And when we look at these convenient spaces, that's what constructs are. Now, constructs have to live somewhere for them to be valid. And where do they live? They live within us. Us being the whoever or whatever it is that lives in each of these organisms, these bodies that we walk around in. And each of these bodies that we walk around in has a brain, most of us, right? Has a brain and a nervous system. And so in order for the constructs to be able to actualize themselves, they have to inhabit a body and a nervous system. Okay, they have to. Right. And we can also project our identities on people, but our projected identities live within our nervous systems. And so it's really, really important for us to understand how societal constructs affect the human nervous system. Now, the human nervous system is a very, very important space to consider when we're talking about illness, when we're talking about wellness, when we're talking about the actualization of emotional structures. All of these things are very, very important. Because without a nervous system, without a body, you ain't nobody without your body, right? You're nobody without your body. So it's really important that we honor this. And when we have societal constructs like, I believe I am who I am, I believe I'm Ta, I'm the son of my mother, and my mother says that this is what a good man does. So I take my mother's construct of what a good man is and I embed it into my nervous system, even if I don't agree with it inherently, foundationally. I will take that and I will put that inside myself. And I will use it until I'm dead, or until I decide I want to be something else, until I decide I want to use something else. The issue is when we're conceived through when we're 7 years old, that's when we develop our brains. And this is when constructs get embedded the strongest. From the age of conception to 7 years old, that is when we make the strongest societal constructs around gender, around nationality, around ethnicity, around family structure. All of these things get embedded into a newly forming brain, a newly forming nervous system. And when you look at it from this vantage point, it's a big deal. And so this gets hooked into the brain. This gets hooked into the nervous system, and it becomes something that runs on autopilot. And we learn how to protect these constructs from when we are very, very young. If someone embeds into you that you are a boy, right? And then later on, somebody tells you that you're not a boy, you're a girl, and you believe, and you have this deep embedded, encrusted belief in your nervous system that's etched into your nervous system that that's what you are, and you fight against that, you may have some distress in your body. And so this is a big deal. It's just like me, right? So I'm gonna offer this to you, and I may get some pushback on this, and that's perfect. Okay. Now, I was raised as a black person. Okay. When I asked my mother what I am, she told me I'm black. My father told me I was black. People around me, most of them told me I was black. Somebody said, well, how could you be, when I was a kid, somebody in kindergarten said to me, well, how could you be black? Your skin's not black. You're tan or beige or some shit like that. And I went home and I asked my mother, well, how come I'm black? My skin is not black. And I know plenty of kids that ask this stuff. And so I questioned myself. It's the constructs, right? And so it's very convenient for me to be in the space of this construct. Now, based on the slave trade, based on how people with hair types like mine, and people who are pigmented, who are raised as black folks, we have been partitioned off into a particular space for convenience, right? And so since we're in that space, we get treated a certain way by society at large. And this is a place where we get stuck, because I believe I am who I am, right? So I believe I'm a black person. I believe not just a black person, I'm a light-skinned black person. Not just a light-skinned black person, I'm a light-skinned black person from New York. I'm a light-skinned Black person from New York who also gets mistaken for Dominican, Puerto Rican, who gets mistaken for Cuban, who gets mistaken for all of these different things. And so, right, and mistaken, because I mean, how would somebody know what I am based on how I look? People try to partition me into spaces. And so my nervous system has to navigate that. So when I was a kid, and if somebody called me white or somebody called me Puerto Rican, I used to get into fights because I was defending my construct of identity as being a Black person. And so I would get into fights around this stuff. And this is something that was embedded into my nervous system very young. And so I still have challenges around it when I speak outside of this space. And so this is a very, very important thing when we're talking about societal constructs and the human nervous system. Now, why is this important when it comes to things like psychedelics, things like breath work, things like transformational experiences? When we get into psychedelic experiences, when we get into ketamine experiences, when we get into plant medicine experiences, entheogenic experiences, whatever you choose to call it, the brain that houses those constructs get loosened up. So we don't have to see it that way. And then we might look in a different pathway and see ourselves differently, right? I might have only seen myself as a Black person, right? And so this is part of my explorations in psychedelics was, all right, cool. I'm Black. That's it, right? And so I had one journey where I went in and it was like, okay, I'm Black and I'm light skinned. So have I been denying the white DNA that runs through my blood? Because there's some white in here somewhere. I am not the foundational, deep, dark, chocolate brown Black people from Africa. And so I had to come to terms with myself around that, right? The denial of the ancestral trauma, not just from the Black people, not just from the enslaved Black folks that run through my blood, but also the white folks that were doing the enslaving, right? I had to grapple with all this stuff. And so now I have this new perspective around constructs. And it's like, okay, what is my actual identity? My actual identity is I am a person. I am a human being that's moving through all of this stuff. Now, if I have to adhere to the constructs of my race, if I have to adhere to the constructs of my ethnicity, if I have to adhere to my nationality based on what somebody else told me, that actually governs my ability to be sovereign. And so I'm interested in being free. And so I don't have to adhere to anybody's constructs of whatever they believe my race is, whatever they believe my ethnicity is. I know where I was born. I know how I was raised. I know the people I was raised around. I know what I identify as. I know the cultures that I've been in and out of. I know all of these things, but that is not who I am by choice. Who I am by choice, being that you refer to as Ta. That's what I am. Okay. I'm not denying anything. I'm not claiming anything. This is what I am. And so I am many things, and I am many things all the time, and I will constantly be many things all the time. And so when I allow myself to release all of the old constructs that I have, my body actually gets to relax because it's not presenting for everybody's convenience. I'm living for my convenience. And so in living for my convenience, I am freer, I am easier, and I have less strain on my body because my body's not presenting for everybody else. I don't have to act like that Black guy. I don't have to act like that light-skinned Black guy. I don't have to act like anything for anybody unless I choose to act that way. And so my nervous system actually gets to relax into a different space than it used to because I'm not holding on to the societal construct the way I was. Now, I recognize my constructs. Okay, I recognize my constructs, and I can code switch and jump into any construct that I want so that I can fall into alignment with some other people so that it's convenient, right? I can jump into my constructs when it's convenient. Remember at the beginning of this conversation, I said constructs are structures built for convenience. And so my identity is convenient when it's convenient, right? And so this is, and I'm not lying. These are different aspects of my identity. So I could change my accent if I wanted to fit into a particular place. I could be like, hey, hello, how are you doing today, my friend? I can talk like this if I want to. It is a construct. My accent is a construct too. I can do that. I can talk however I want. Okay, I can do all kinds of accents, y'all. And it doesn't make a difference which one I use. It's all moving through me. Okay. And so when it's convenient, right? The way I speak may be brash for some people. And so I can soften it up and be like, well, guys, it's a lot easier for you to understand me if I speak in a voice like this that you don't assume is aggressive. And so if it's not aggressive, maybe you'll hear me a little more clearly because my voice may sound a little more familiar to you. It may sound less street. And if street kind of makes you feel awkward, I can speak like this for a while. My accent is a construct. Based on where I was raised and how I learned to use the intonations and move sound through my body. And so when you start to understand what constructs are and how they affect the nervous system, it changes all of your dynamics. And I just wanted to bring that on here. I just wanted to talk to you all about that for a few minutes because in the human nervous system, we have so many different constructs and the only place they live is in our nervous system. And if we have been programmed and conditioned into being a certain way, into having certain identities, we can deny ourselves our own foundational self and who we truly know that we are on the inside. And so I'm inviting you to just be mindful of this. When people have psychedelic experiences, when you go into psychedelic experiences, you may come back different. Psychedelic coaches, psychedelic facilitators, trip sitters, people may come back different. I have sat with people that came back that had an accent, that came back with a completely different accent because their brains have let go of certain constructs. And so being mindful of this stuff when you're working with people pre and post, before and after psychedelic experiences is very important to understand how a person's identity constructs and their societal constructs play in regards to their body and how much pressure it can cause a person to have on their nervous system. A person's nervous system that is constantly presenting gets exhausted. Now, I'm going to offer one more perspective on this. I had insomnia for 30 years. For a long time, I wrote a book about it. I wrote a music album about it. I had insomnia for a long time. And when I started to hang out with Cole came over one night and I went to sleep. And I was wondering why, when Cole came over, I went to sleep. And I was like, maybe Cole is just the solution to my insomnia. And so I thought about it for a while and I backtracked and I traced and I was like, well, what conversation did we have that night? And the conversation that Cole and I had that night, I sat up with Cole for a long time, for hours and hours and hours. I spoke to her. I told her all the secrets that I was carrying in my body, all the things that I had lied about my entire life. And it was the first time that I was safe enough to say all of these things. It was the first time that I was able to speak my truth in my life. It was the first time in my life I was able to speak my truth. And when I was able to speak my truth, I went to sleep. And my body was holding all those lies for all those years. And it wouldn't let me go to sleep because my nervous system was constantly crafting and trying to make sure that my stories didn't get found out and all the constructs. Lies are constructs, right? When I tell a lie, I'm fabricating something. And that is a construct. It's an ideological construct that I'm pushing onto other people and doing my best to manipulate their perspective so that they believe my lies. And so if I'm lying all the time, if I'm inauthentic all the time, I'm constantly looking to craft and create constructs unconsciously, right? And so my brain is constantly working overtime, and this can be taxing on the nervous system. So be mindful of what's going on with you and your authenticity space. So I just wanted to add that on. This is a very important space for me to talk about, y'all. Being honest and being in your own identity, the identity that you craft, is tremendously important. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you. We'll be talking about this stuff in the Condor Approach that's coming up. We are also doing our next Condor Approach September 12th to the 15th for the 3-day and the 12th to the 17th for the 5-day for coaches who are certifying in Austin, Texas. I would love to see you there. We'll be talking more about constructs. I'm going to be on again talking about constructs and just letting you know more and more about this stuff, how constructs affect the nervous system, how constructs affect everything in your life. It's really, really important to understand that we are all made up of a bunch of constructs. And when you create your own constructs, when you create your own flow, things are yours to craft. Thank you so much for being here for the Psychedelic Coach Podcast. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, share with a friend. I love you. I appreciate you. Sourcey I'll catch you in the next one. And remember,
integration is not optional.